Hello, friends.
We're
I
probably going to
like
get
it.
lit up now because of my pronunciation. And also, it might not even mean that. I might have
Yeah.
just cussed them all out, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But let's hope it's not that.
Yeah.
But, dude, there's a lot to talk about. We have 10 fights that we're going to
Yeah.
be covering right now. So we can go and get started if you are down.
I am ready.
Oh, also, ahoy.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. Ahoy also, yes. Hey, dude, I'm trying to get all my Czech lingo down, But
There you go.
yes, we start off with Jiri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. Holy smokes. What a fight, man.
Yeah. This delivered,
Fight
man.
of the year?
Fight of the year for sure. Maybe the best light heavyweight title fight of all time.
Hey, let's slow down.
Whoa, dude. Dude, recency bias, right? But the only thing that's even close is John versus Gus. Maybe even DC. Maybe DC versus Gus. Let's give this one some time, dude, because we talked about going into this how they're their own worst opponents, right? Jiří striking, his range, his weird in and out and stuff is the worst thing for Glover to face. And Glover's grappling is the worst thing for Jiří to face. And they said, fuck you both for even saying that. We're going to crack each other. We're going to submit each other. They both this was mixed martial arts. This was perfect.
Dude, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time for a couple reasons. You've been praising Jiří before he even came into the UFC. I've been preaching Jiří since his first fight in the UFC. So we're both Jiří truthers, if you will. And we both predicted Jiří would be the champion by year's end.
Yeah.
Right?
We did, huh? Nice.
Yes, we did. We both did. Yes. So
shout out George.
Oh, poor George. George is the biggest Teixeira truther out there.
Yeah.
But so I'm a little biased going into this fight. I really want Jiří to win. Mm-hmm. And then the fight gets started. And in the beginning, it's just that lucid movement from Jiří where he seems so loose, man. His arms are down, they're up. He's bouncing in and out. He just almost like a capoeira movement. You know what I mean? Where he's kind of like back and forth. His arms are a little low. They're swinging around. And then these strikes come from nowhere. The shovel hook, the front kick.
Darting in left straight. Whoo.
Yeah, shots to the body. And he's so quick, too, to get out of the way of Teixeira's counters, if Teixeira would even count. Dude, he was getting cracked.
Yeah, he was getting cracked. The first two rounds, it was the start of the round was Jiří cracking him with long shots, jumping knees, inside elbows.
He was sitting on that jumping knee, too, for a while. You could see it.
Yeah. Well, that's probably something that they trained, right? Glover's going to reach in for the takedown. Shout out George with the sad face. But
George coming through with the sad face.
Yeah. But they probably drilled that, right? Try to time the knee when he shoots. That's probably something that they were drilling the whole camp. But it's like the first half of each round was Jiří picking him apart, but then Glover taking him down and brutalizing him, his ground and pound. And it was funny because Jiří, before the fight, was like, I don't go down there and play jiu-jitsu. If I'm going down there, I'm going down there to smash you and to beat your brakes off. And Glover was like, oh, me too. Like, you think I'm just down there playing jiu-jitsu? Like, I'm going to take you down and mount you.
If the opportunity presents itself, I can play jiu-jitsu. If not, I'll also try to beat your brakes in,
Yeah, dude, those elbows that Glover was landing from the top position
gnarly
were devastating. And I was like, no, Jiří, hold on.
The chin on Jiří too, man.
The chin on both
of these guys.
Glover looked like he was 30. He did not look like he was 42 years old. Granted, later in the fight, he was really wearing the shots. And even talked about how the body should. Hey, man, what are we doing here? Why are we? But on Natty. But man, later in the fight, Jiří was really cracking him. There was that one round where it looked like he might finish him. I thought it was smart for him not to jump into him on the ground and just keep lighting him up on the feet. Dude, best moment of the fight for me was Glover gets him in that arm triangle, and it's tight. And Jiří's like, thumbs up, we're good.
Thumbs up, yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, no. I'm bridging. I'm doing everything I can to do that to get out of here. And it's tight. And Glover's got the squeeze on him, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then he grabs his own wrist, frames, and just rolls out of it. And I was like, Jiří can play jiu-jitsu. This guy is good on the ground, man. There was one point, I think it was in the third round, where the graphic popped up and it was like reversals. And it was like Glover 3, Jiří 2. And I was like, who would have thought this? I mean,
Yeah.
the back and forth, the tide turning back and forth in every single round was insanity, dude. Like, it was crazy.
It was just a beautiful display of mixed martial arts, man.
It really was. Everywhere. The clinch, at range, up against the fence, on the ground, just damage everywhere. Like, it was crazy.
So at the end of the third round, Glover's getting cracked still, right? Yeah. They're going back and forth. It's such an exciting fight. And then Glover's corner is like, he's tired. He's exhausted. And you see Jiri kind of, he's still like pouncing, over to his corner. And I was like, oh, he still looks fresh. He's good. He's got a little pep to his step. And Glover looks fucking like it's over, and the corner's telling him he's tired. And I was like, dude, you guys not seeing this? But then as the round starts, Jiri starts looking a little more labored. Glover's smiling. I'm like, oh, maybe they saw something I didn't see. What's going on? And you could definitely see fourth and fifth round a little more labored, and definitely in the fifth.
Glover cracked him with that overhand right twice. Had him hurt so bad.
About that big mistake where he has Jiri on skates, man. And then he goes for the guillotine. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh no, what are you doing?
He's getting clowned a little bit.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, and just exhausted on top. I think that's probably from where this picture's from. But at that point, a lot of people are kind of clowning Glover for his fight IQ in that moment. But the dude, they've been battering each other for 20 minutes at that point. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Me sitting on the couch, not even taking one shot, I'm like, he should not have done that. But then I'm like, he probably has no idea what's happening right now. These guys are so concussed.
You can say he shouldn't have done that.
Well,
but the thing is that you should. But the thing is that you shouldn't clown him for doing it because you have an understanding again of the fact that these guys are 5 rounds in, been beating each other up. They're both exhausted, and Glover's been doing this for 60 years, and he probably saw the opportunity and was like, "Hey, you know what? I've finished people in this situation before. You know what I mean? Like you said, I played jiu-jitsu, and I could take him out really quickly."
Yeah, Bruce Bobtrotter comes in saying Glover failed that fight more than Jiri won it. Glover pooped the bed multiple times in that fight. Disagree hard because both of them made a lot of mistakes in that fight. They both failed that fight multiple times, but they both succeeded in that fight multiple times. That's just the reality of a slugfest, crazy war, especially at light heavyweight, and you're 42 years old. Mistakes are going to happen because these guys are going out there and beating the brakes off of each other. You can't really blame any decision making in that fight. Yeah. You really can't.
Hey, shout out to our guy Bruce Bobtrotter for joining us again.
I know. Always coming through.
And the thing I'd have to. I can see where he's coming from, right? Because you do see multiple mistakes made by Glover. Again, he's been doing this for 60 years or whatever, but he's in the middle of a freaking dogfight. And sometimes after you've been cracked 50 times to the dome by Jiri Prochazka, the samurai, sometimes you're going to be on autopilot. And in that case, again, he probably just thought to himself, hey, let me just cinch this in real quick because I don't want to go another 4 minutes in a round with this freaking monster in front of me. I throw my best shots at him. He's eating my best shots. I've had him on skates. I haven't been able to put him out. I've been in full mount with this guy 3 times. I've hit him with the ground and pound. Elbows. I've sliced him open. I've hit him with straight shots, and nothing is taking this guy out. Let me try this. Let me try a guillotine.
He's hurt, and he just gave me his neck.
And he's exhausted. In the beginning of a fight, you sink a guillotine in, somebody might be able to last a little bit longer. And it's just like when we used to roll, right? Like, hey, by the end of practice, somebody sinks in a guillotine, RNC, anything, you're going to tap so much faster because there's less oxygen. Your body's demanding so much more oxygen. You've already depleted so much oxygen. I don't know. All I know is that this was an amazing fight. Jiri Prochazka made us look very good with our predictions.
And that's a perfect segue to the end of the fight, right? 30 seconds left in the 5th round, and Jiri sweeps him. Glover's trying to get up and gives up his neck for a split second, and Jiri's able to get the rear naked choke without even taking his full back. Yep. And that's a testament to how exhausted they both are, like how battered they both are. I mean, he just
second round
jumped on it.
Glover probably gets out of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Probably. Yeah.
But I mean, fifth round. Again, an absolute war.
How about this?
It's just.
How about this? At this point on the scorecards, Glover was up, and he was winning that round. That was Glover's round. If it finished, he would have won by decision 30 seconds later.
Wow.
Yeah. But
nuts.
Crazy fight, man. One of my favorite fights of all time.
Oh, truthfully. Absolutely. Hey, Rich Casual, did you watch this fight? Maybe he's playing.
Dude, that fight was crazy. And like, I knew who Jiri Prochazka was from, the show or whatever, but I'd never seen him fight. And this is literally what I thought during the fight. I was like,
Goro?
What the? No. I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, he's over here and he's over here and his hands are not in front of him. You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of when the Batman is getting his ass kicked at the penthouse by all his like thugs, but then the Joker like comes in like kind of wild and just kicks him in the face. That's what I imagined from Procházka right there. And I was like, how is your hair sticking this way and then this way and then this way? Like, it's rigid but loose at the same time. But it was awesome. It was a fucking slugfest. All those elbows, like I was gasping for air myself, like just sitting in this chair right here. But yeah, it was wonderful to watch. It was right up there with the fight we're gonna talk about a little bit later. So that was
I love it. I love how animated Rich is. Hey, man, he's telling you what he's.
That's how he was. He's like, where's he
coming from? Yeah, he's like all over the place.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't remember seeing Jiří do that, but you know what?
Yeah. But dude,
perception is reality.
How about Jiří's face right here as he's sinking up the choke? Fucking savage.
Every last ounce of strength that he has going into that choke. Yeah. Look at that, man.
Did you see the video?
Of warriors.
Did you see the video of Dana White watching it? He was live watching it. Rich, can you pull up that link I put in the private chat?
Yeah, that was awesome, man.
Because he's live.
Are we gonna get taken down for this?
He tapped? No way! No fucking way! Jiri fucking tapped him out! No way! No way! What a fucking fight! What an absolute fucking war, man! Fight of the year. Shit, my phone's fucking blowing.
You know what I love about Dana White?
He can't pronounce his own fighters' names.
I love the fact that he's just a massive fan too.
Yeah,
I think that sometimes it gets in the way of running the business.
Oh, 100%.
But he's a fan, man, and I love that. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, George coming in with a comment says Glover tapped because he thought it would mean he'd lose the round, not the fight.
He must have spent some time with Chael Sonnen. Yeah, because that's the whole reason Chael Sonnen lost that first fight to Anderson Silva.
It's a common misconception.
But Glover's made a note of it, I'm sure now.
Yeah.
Glover's made a note of it. Oh, man. Yes, excellent fight.
Gutted for Glover at the end. I mean, the guy,
there's one more picture in there. Rich, do you have a picture in there of the aftermath? Look at that.
Yeah. God
just
damn, dude.
Absolute warriors.
Yeah. And they said in the post, or I guess Glover tweeted he wants a rematch, an immediate rematch.
I don't think it's going to happen.
In the press conference, Jiří was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. Because
I'm sure Jiří just wants to fight whoever.
But who's next?
Who's the number one contender? Maybe?
He's got a fight already.
Oh, I don't know.
And how about this?
Who is next then?
Jan Blachowicz is, I guess, as Jiří was leaving the cage, Jan starts like yelling at him, trying to like stoke the fires for a fight. And I guess he was like screaming at him all crazy. Jiří's just like concussed, right? And he's walking out. Yeah. He just like looks at him and he puts his hand out. He just tells him.
Blows him a kiss. Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna knock you out, all this stuff. And Jiří's just like, I love you. And then just keeps walking.
Fucking love this guy, man.
What a specimen.
Ankalaev?
Ankalaev, I believe, has a fight too, doesn't he? Does he not?
I don't know. But I mean, you have Jan Blachowicz, Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, beyond that, yeah. I mean, what else do you do? There's not much else.
Unless they just wait. He's gonna need.
Or I was gonna say, if you're Jiří, why don't you just take 6 months off, bro?
Oh, he said he wants to fight this year again, but he does need some time.
Hey,
I mean,
relax.
it's June.
Relax, my guy.
Yeah, I mean, you got that eyebrow's going to be a problem for his career.
Yeah, a la Nate
bad
Diaz.
cut, man.
You know, somebody's gonna like flick it and it's just gonna bust open.
Yeah, he's gonna need some real work on that.
George coming through again says, in all seriousness, Jiří proved he's a fucking animal, different breed. I'm a believer now. Hey, welcome, George.
Welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
George now a Jiří truther.
Joined the club. Yes, I mean, that's all I got on that fight, man. I think we already talked about it for close to 20 minutes now.
Yeah.
But it's just such a fantastic fight. Again, it's
classic.
going to go down as one of the best fights of all time.
Yeah. It's number 1 for fight of the year right now, for sure.
All right. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the co-main event, Will. For the co-main, we had Valentina Shevchenko versus Taila Santos.
Yeah, man. And this was a different Shevchenko fight than we're used to.
She's finally,
someone was like, hey, she only counter strikes. What if I just don't blitz in? And it completely unraveled Shevchenko's game for the first 3 rounds. She made the adjustment in the 4th, but Shevchenko ended up trying to force clinch situations, trying to force grappling, because she is not used to going first. And usually she'll just wait until you go first, and most people will give in to that. But Santos was like, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to jump into a wood chipper. Why would I do that? And Shevchenko was like, I'll just blitz in and try to clinch then. And then Taila Santos was like, now you're in my world. Thank you.
Yeah.
She broke her game plan completely. But
you know what I liked about
and made the adjustment
about Taila Santos is that very much, like Juliana Pena. Like, I really believed her when she said that she thought she was going to win.
Yeah.
Like I didn't believe that Santos was going to win, but I believe that Taila Santos really truthfully believed that she was going to win.
Yeah.
And that confidence, man, going up against a monster like a Shevchenko, right? Is something that you absolutely need. I feel like a lot of these women that are going to go up against Shevchenko are beat before they even step into that octagon.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, do you think Lauren Murphy was sitting there thinking like, hey, I'm the next champ?
Yeah.
Caitlin Chookagian?
Yeah.
Chookagian not. You know what I mean? That was awful. Where's that?
Yeah.
But, dude, Taila Santos really believed that she was going to win. And because of this, I didn't think she was going to win, but I thought that it was going to be a better fight than what we've seen Shevchenko have in the past.
Yeah, I just really liked seeing somebody stay disciplined enough to not completely just wilt into Shevchenko's game plan. Because, I mean, she made her look human, right? Which she is. Everybody thinks of Shevchenko as this like absolute murderer, which she is, but in very specific situations. And I mean, a lot of people think Santos won this fight. The first 3 rounds were very close. The 4th and the 5th were clear Shevchenko rounds for me, and more clear than any of the rounds before that. I'm not mad at the decision at all. I know some people are. Some people are like, this is the same thing as John Jones versus Dominic Reyes. I disagree. I think this was a much closer fight than that. Well, they're both close fights, but I don't think Shevchenko was like exposed or anything. She made the adjustment, and that's ultimately what sets her apart, right? If she couldn't have made that adjustment in the 4th and 5th, if she couldn't start, because she did start going first, and she started opening with the body kicks, and that allowed her to put the hands behind her. Because when she has to punch first, it usually doesn't look great, and it's usually to clinch. She tries to get the head and arm throw that happens all the time in this division, in the 135 division. Santos finally was like, no, I can slip out of that and then end up on your back. This was a cool fight. This was kind of like I think a change in direction in this division. I'm not saying Shevchenko's losing her next fight or anything crazy like that, but it was kind of eye-opening a little bit.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with you in the sense that it wasn't like John Jones versus Dominic Reyes, although it does remind me of another John Jones fight against another Thiago Santos, exactly, where it was a very competitive fight. People weren't expecting that, right? but ultimately the experience came through, I think, with Shevchenko. But
the clash heads.
Even if I would have seen Santos 3 rounds to 2 walk away with the belt, I'd be like, yeah, I could see it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right? The first 3 rounds?
First 3 rounds could have easily went to her.
Which one judge had, I think, the first 3 rounds for her.
Yeah. One judge had 49-46.
49-46, though? What were they watching?
Yeah. Santos only won 1 round. That's crazy.
Yeah, get out.
The headbutt was really unfortunate, though. I think that kind of changed the pace of that 4th round, to be honest.
Yeah, could have impacted
broke an orbital.
The outcome.
It broke her eye socket.
Ooh.
Yeah, she's already getting surgery on it. That definitely affects the fight.
Oof. Look at that. Poor girl. Bay. Good fight, though. It was an interesting fight, and it was very nice to see somebody push Shevchenko to her limit, man.
Yeah, definitely. Just make her answer some things, because, I mean, we constantly see people run into her and then she just head kicks them, or they meet the right straight, or they run straight into the head and arm throw. And finally, someone was like, "I'm just not going to do that," and it completely nullified her for 3 rounds. I mean, not nullified, but it completely changed her whole approach. Bruce Bogtrotter says Shevchenko should consider fighting a man if there aren't any women left for her to fight. Shevchenko versus Cejudo, maybe.
Hey, do you remember when Cejudo was asking for that fight?
Yeah, it was classic.
But I do agree with this with Bruce Bogtrotter. One, we saw that she can be challenged at 125, and he says she needs to step up in competition somehow. She can be challenged at 125, but the option for her to move up to bantamweight is something that she should definitely take into consideration.
Maybe. I mean, there's a couple kind of newcomers into this division that I'd like to see play out and maybe get some title shots in the future. I'm still excited to see some of her matchups in this division coming up. And she can do whatever she wants. Maybe she goes up to 135. Amanda's going to retire soon.
Yeah.
She's going to retire soon. Yeah. Maybe one more fight. I don't know.
But maybe this is the blueprint that other fighters coming up now can see and say, okay, well, this is how we game plan around a Shevchenko, and what other things can we sprinkle in to work in our favor? You know what I mean?
It's crazy that it took this long for somebody to just not run into her. HB Comer says, oh, shout out HB Comer.
Yeah, shout out HB Comer.
Valentina needs to fight 2 chicks at once. Nowhere else to go.
Hey, so if anybody follows our TikTok, one of the posts I had recently was some dude that was fighting 2 guys. I'm pretty sure this was sanctioned in Russia. But it's like one dude that's clearly a heavyweight against 2 probably bantamweights, maybe flyweights. Very interesting matchup. So I could see Shevchenko versus a couple straw weights, maybe. I don't know.
And that's why we're on the verge of getting banned on TikTok.
And that's exactly why I'm gonna get us banned. You're right. Damn it, Will. I probably, you know what? Going forward, I'm gonna ask you before I post something and be like, "Hey, what do you think, man? Will this get us banned? Maybe."
Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious.
9 times out of 10, you would tell me, "Yes, it will."
Yes, it will.
All right. You want to move on to the next fight?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next fight. Rich the Casual's favorite fight of the night, maybe outside of the Jiri fight. But we had Zhang Weili, maybe Weili Zhang. I've noticed that people are pronouncing it right, versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah, the rematch. The rematch of the fight of the year in 2020. Dude, I'm telling you, the walkouts for this fight, when Joanna was walking out and she's like going crazy a little bit, and she's in the cage and she's running around smiling, and then she starts screaming, getting all intense. Zhang Weili's walking out. I was like, dude, this feels like a main event. This feels like a championship fight. I'll tell you, the buildup to this fight in the moment was much bigger than the buildup to the fight after this, the one we just talked about, Shevchenko versus Santos. This was crazy. And Joanna's been out for 2 years. I know she had a big long training camp for this, but it kind of showed a little bit. You're muted, Ramiro, but it kind of showed a little bit. I think
she said 5 months, right?
5 months training camp. That's big, man. But it's not the same as Zhang Weili fighting the best in the world in the meantime. And that first round started, and it looked like the 6th round of their last fight. If you just cut together these two fights, and the 5th round ends, and then it goes straight to the first round of this fight. I mean, Joanna looked like she was like, "Oh shit, here we go. We're starting quick," and kind of had to adjust a little bit. Couldn't quite do it, but I mean, she looked competitive in that first round. But dude, the grappling from Zhang Weili was very impressive.
It's a Henry Cejudo camp, dude.
Seriously, I mean,
She's
really
been working with Henry Cejudo.
And we didn't talk about it in the Jiří fight, but same thing. His grappling looked very good, and he's also training with Triple C for that fight. So the takedown she landed against
Does
Cage,
Jiří just take Triple C out of his pocket whenever he wants to train?
Yeah,
and just like...
yeah, exactly. But dude, Zhang Weili pushed her up against the cage. Joanna was doing a fantastic job with the leg kicks and that overhand right that she throws like a paw, like a bear paw, and she was landing it. Easy money for her. She looked very good. And then Zhang Weili kind of just bullied her up against the cage, had that almost like side saddle position up in the clinch. Joanna's fighting the hands, and as she's fighting the hands, she steps in, hooks her leg, and instead of trying to pull it out from under her, pushes it forward, away from her, towards the fence, and then throws her over her own weight. It was beautiful. Beautiful. Because you could tell Joanna was like, "Why are you putting my leg this way? That's weird." And then bam. Like, I mean, just caught her completely off guard with that trip, and smashed her from the top. Ground and pound.
The thing that threw me off with Joanna is that we had a different Joanna during the weigh-ins. And I know that a lot of people say, like, hey, well, weigh-ins really don't mean much, blah, blah, I get it. But when you're, like, we've been watching Joanna for a long time already. Mm-hmm. And the intensity, the look in her eyes, man, when she's whispering trash talk to the opponents.
It's like fucking like Gollum and shit up in their face.
Exactly, dude. It's something that's very impressive and scary, and we didn't have that this time.
No.
She got in her face, she looked at her, smiled, whatever, but then they break away, shakes her hand, big old smile on her face, and I was just like, oh no, this is a different Joanna than what we're used to seeing. Plus the long layoff. We talked about this last week with Felice Herrig. 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Well, so HLB Comer says Joanna lost her focus. She's an IG girl now. Weili, on the other hand, locked herself in the gym and got on that good Chinese-Mexican beef. A beautiful massacre. It's true, man. Yeah. She's been out for a while.
Extra protein in that beef.
Yeah, so what happens in the fight? The first round was a crazy pace. Zhang Weili puts it on her. But Joanna's at least having some success. Second round starts. She's having success again on the feet. Comes in a little reckless and catches the spinning back fist, right? Zhang Weili knocks her out with the spinning back fist as she's coming in. Massive knockout. Completely dropped her flat on her belly. Walk-off KO. No follow-up shots. She retires after the fight. Joanna retires after the fight. So
how many tears did you shed?
Oh, dude, it was brutal, man. It was brutal.
That was brutal, he said.
Yeah, and DC's trying to like walk away mid-interview, and it's like, whoa, dude, this is a legend of women's MMA, legend of MMA. Give her some fucking time.
For sure.
But it's not like she made up her mind in that moment to retire. So coming into this, she's probably thinking, this is my last fight. And it makes sense because she's been out for 2 years. This whole time they've been talking about, I don't even know if Joanna's going to come back. She's saying she only wants to come back against Zhang Weili. This could be one of those things where it's like, I have one fight left in me. I'm going to make it the big one against Zhang Weili, get a bunch of money for it, and then take off after. And that's totally fine. Bruce Bobtrotter's going to trigger me with that comment. It wasn't that great of a spinning back fist, bro. Sergio Pettis did a better one on that Japanese dude recently. That Japanese dude was Horiguchi, the Rising champ, came over to try to unify Bellator Rising belts, and he got knocked out even though he was winning, and that was beautiful.
Hey, but Bruce Bobtrotter, my guy.
That's Horiguchi. Put some respect on his name. He's the greatest. Okay, but
I would have had the same thing. That Japanese dude that recently got KO'd by Sergio Pettis in the same way.
Mighty Mouse.
But, that's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. That's hilarious. But I'm going to have a maybe unpopular opinion that I haven't seen anybody say online or anything about this one. But and it kind of does align with Bruce Bobtrotter on that spinning back fist. She got knocked down. for sure. Feet were out from under her. She fell forward. I don't think she was out. I think she chose not to get up.
Hold on.
And I mean that.
Hold on.
And I mean that with no disrespect. It's anybody can choose to do that, and I don't think less of you. I'm not saying, oh, she gave up, she copped out, blah blah blah. I don't think she wanted any more. I watched it again. She goes down, and she looks up at Zhang Weili as Zhang Weili's walking away, and she puts her head down. I think she was just done. And
so maybe she looked up to see if she was going to have a follow-up shot or not.
Maybe, but if she's making that decision, she's not out. And I think it's one of those things where going into it, she's 1 foot out the door, like you said. She's going to retire after this fight, no matter what. If she won, maybe not. But if you're thinking that already, it's hard to have that fire in you to keep you going in a moment like that. Yeah. Maybe she was knocked out. Maybe she was out cold, and I'm a fucking idiot. I don't really know, but it kind of seemed like that a little bit. And again, I mean it with no disrespect. Anybody can choose to do that, and I still respect that decision, especially in the moment.
It's not an easy job, man.
Fuck, no, it's not, man. I wouldn't get up from that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm good down here.
I think what she was thinking, again, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and the fact that she's thinking, if I lose this fight, I'm retiring. If I win this fight, I think if she won that fight, she was going to make one more run at the title. And, she loves the UFC. The UFC loves her. She has a huge fan base. I think that they would have said, hey, maybe we throw a Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus a Carla Esparza for the title.
Yeah, honestly,
a rematch. And I think Joanna knew that and said, yeah, if I win, fuck it. I'll fight for the title. Why not? And then if I retire holding the title, can you imagine? I'll go down as one of the best ever. Last shot of me is holding up the belt. But again, just the fact that she's thinking, if I lose, I retire.
Yeah.
Is no bueno.
No bueno. End of an era for sure with Joanna. In the UFC, at least, she was the first. Ronda Wright is the pioneer of women's MMA for the UFC, at least, but Joanna was the next step, right? She was the one that was like, women's MMA is legit, because Ronda was legit while she was fighting people who weren't as legit, right? But Joanna was masterful in her technique, her tenacity. She's lighting people up, getting finishes, and it was like, oh no, we're here, we're good. Like, women's MMA is legit.
And the thing is that Ronda Rousey fights were exciting, and they were exciting because it was a dominant female fighter. Period. She was,
and she finished
beating
fights.
people in 30 seconds, a minute and a half. But Joanna Jędrzejczyk was exciting because she was an absolute killer, man.
Yeah.
Because we were looking forward to see the knockouts and the relentless pressure. And I mean, the knockout against Carla Esparza, when Carla Esparza was up against the cage and she just teases up on her face and Carla just kind of like collapses.
And she's just bleeding. Her face is a mask of blood.
Yeah. And you weren't seeing that in female MMA and women's mixed martial arts. So seeing a Joanna Jędrzejczyk come in like that, and she's the boogie woman, she's talking all this trash and whispering all these things. Again, the weigh-ins were intense, and you're like, ooh, I wonder how she's gonna knock this one out,
Yeah.
So I mean, just so much respect for Joanna Jędrzejczyk, what she's done for women's MMA. She's one of the pioneers, I feel like, and
100%.
Man, we're gonna miss watching her fight. And I mean, at this point, again, she took 2 years off. We had said, right? 2 years off, so we got used to not having Joanna in the octagon. But still, like, it's always fun whenever you had a Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight coming up in the weekend, and you were just looking forward to it the entire week.
Crazy, man. Yeah, and she said she's going to transition to something with the UFC, and that she wants to become a manager, a fighter manager. So cool for her. She knows the game. I also think everybody should be sending their thoughts and prayers to Carla Esparza, because Zhang Weili is coming. She's terrifying. Zhang Weili versus Carla Esparza with that wrestling,
with the grappling that she's beginning in. Oh man,
yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited for that. Zhang Weili definitely strikes me as somebody. I think Bruce Bob tried to write as the one that said, "Locked yourself in the gym," or was it HLB Comer? HLB Comer, dude, definitely. She had that loss. What happens? She shaves her head, and dude, just looks so intense after
Goes to
that.
work.
Goes to work. That's all she's doing.
Yeah. Dude,
they probably didn't even let her back into China now I think about it because she lost. So she's like,
she
what do I do? I guess
her.
just train. Oh, okay.
She went back to her camp over there.
I don't know. Just an assumption.
But
maybe I shouldn't assume.
Yeah, but that was a goddamn. Carla versus Zhang Weili is going to be brutal. I do not see that going well for Carla.
All right, man. Anything else on that last fight?
Carla looking at Bellator closely now.
Scott Coker like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
I got you. We'll line up some good fights for you.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
anything else?
That's about it.
All right.
Yeah. We got to
let's
kind
go
of
and
burn through
transition
these next fights.
Yep. We'll burn through them because we're already 40 minutes in. Jake Matthews versus Andre Fialho.
Bro, Jake Matthews, I've been a massive fan for a long time. He's shown glimpses of greatness. He comes in here and has finally evolved. Finally put everything together. You know those guys that were like, man, if they could put everything together, they'd look so good. This was Jake Matthews put together. Goddamn. Fialho was frozen in that first round. Frozen. Couldn't do anything. He's landing these straight shots, these uppercuts, these leg kicks. I mean, just and slipping everything that Fialho was throwing. Fialho threw what, like 5 strikes in that first round? Just completely frozen. Look at
this
that.
shot right here.
Beautiful.
And in my notes, I put down that I just felt like Matthews saw everything coming his way.
Yeah.
He saw everything that Fialho was throwing at him.
Yeah. Will's lost brother put it on.
Actually, we should find a picture of Brian, man, because he kind of does resemble Brian a little bit, Will's brother. But no, yeah. So when you talk to, or when you hear professional athletes, whether it's football, baseball, fighters, and when they say, hey, I'm locked in, that they feel like everything kind of slowed down for them.
Yeah, flow state.
Yeah, and I feel like Matthews was in that flow state because he was just getting right out of the way to Fialho's strikes. Beautiful. And it kept him just in range to be able to counter back and hit Fialho with some big shots himself, dude. It was just an awesome performance.
What was beautiful about this was Matthews was able to be first and land everything, and he was able to slip and counter and still land his counters. And that, when someone's able to do that in a fight against Andre Fialho, is legit, man. That dude's a very good boxer, MMA boxer at least. To be able to do that against someone like that was very impressive, and the finish was crazy. I mean, he probably landed like 20 strikes and threw like 23 strikes in that last like minute.
Locked in.
Leading up to the
Locked
finish.
in, man.
Beautiful. So happy for him.
Props to Fialho too, though. I mean, he fought January 22nd.
Yeah.
April 16th, May 7th, and now June 11th. Talking about an active fighter, man. You know, so props to him. He might want to take a little time off.
Yeah. At a certain point, when you're doing stuff like that, it gets to the point where the UFC, at first the UFC appreciates you and will start promoting you all crazy and stuff like that, but it will transition to the UFC taking advantage of you. Everyone talks about how Cowboy Cerrone, but he finally got his payday against McGregor. He didn't get any pay-per-view points for that. He didn't make any extra money other than his regular contract for that fight. They played him.
Cerrone. Remember how nice he was when we met him? Super nice guy.
Yeah. I got fans, man.
It was awesome.
Fucking awesome.
All right. Do you want to move on to the next one now?
Real quick, HLB Comer, will let him have the last comment on that. Beautiful performance. He was always a step ahead and never out of position. Props to Fialho. He's a beast.
Exactly. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. HLB Comer. All right. Before that, we had Maddalena versus Emeev. Emeev. I just want to Emeev. You know?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Bro, Jack Della. This was scary a little bit because it's like, oh man, they're gonna give him like a Russian wrestler. What are they doing? And it got scary for a second. It got real scary for a second. This
Jack Della Maddalena, one of the best names, by the way, in combat sports.
One of the best noses.
Oh my god,
that thing is smashed.
It's up there with Andre Arlovsky's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that submission was tight though. That was real scary.
It was really scary, man. And I love the fact that Maddalena said that he wanted the Dagestani wrestler test. He wanted this.
Yeah.
And he passed it with flying colors, man.
That's hype.
That body shot.
He doubled up. He went left hook up high.
Oh, there's the left hook right there.
Yeah, he goes left hook to the body, up high to set up the next left hook. And he doubled up on it, and both of them landed perfectly and just completely folded him. I mean, he gets out of that submission that looked like it was over. They stand up, and then he just starts ripping at him again. Jack Della, man.
Woo. Jack Della, Maddalena. Love it.
Yeah. Cannot wait to see his next fight. This was his second in the UFC, right? Yeah. Both first round left hands, man. Both left hook knockouts. One to the face, one to the body.
Love it.
Man, cannot wait.
All right.
Love to see it.
Next one.
HLB Comer reminds me of Conor, just his whole energy and confidence is some vintage Conor. Yeah, it's like before Conor got real cringe with like some of the stuff that he was doing. It's just pure performance, where it's like, yeah, it was a fun time.
Good times.
Good times.
All right. We also had Joshua Culibao versus Seung Choi.
Man, rest in peace. All my favorite Korean fighters, man. But Culibao, holy shit, man. Again, more left hooks. Left hooks are becoming something that's, I think, being recognized as a very big weapon, especially in MMA. With MMA stances and MMA gloves, left hooks are there for the taking. And this was another one where Culibao is cracking him every time he came in. Look at that. What is that? Is that a left hook?
Dude, I don't know, but Culibao and Choi were both cracking each other. This was such a fun fight.
This was fight of the night.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Before we got to the main event, this was fight of the night leading up to. But with Culibao, he did a really good job of like dipping his head and hitting with the right and then coming back with the left. He did that maybe 3 or 4 times in that first round, and it kept on getting Choi caught off guard. Dropped Choi multiple times throughout the fight. Choi is a fighter's fighter, though, man. Like, after some of the exchanges where they both cracked each other at the same time, Choi steps back and has a big old smile on his face and nods his head like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
These guys are fantastic, man.
Choi has that textbook. It's like, what can you count on? 2 things from Korean fighters. It's crazy chins, right? Korean zombie, Doohoo Choi, Seung Choi, and perfect 1-2s. Their 1-2s are beautiful. And they throw them like pistons.
I thought you were going to say fighter spirit.
That too, man. What can you count on? 3 things. But man, he landed the 1-2 against Culibao earlier. I think in the first round, he got dropped once. They kind of reset, throws it, lands it, and I was like, "Oh, here we go, Seung Choi coming back." And then he didn't land it again the whole round, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh, dude, one last thing I want to mention: Culibao, his footwork, beautiful. And the thing that really stood out to me is that when he would crack him with the right, he had this skip step that allowed him to move forward really quickly in case that shot stunned Choi for him to have follow-up shots. So he'd hit him, and Choi would take a step back, and he'd like come to again, and Culibao was right there again.
Yeah. But
Culibao was really calculated because depending on how Choi reacted, he would like be right there and then just take a step back. Or if he seemed like he was really stunned, he'd follow up with 2 or 3 more shots, which I thought was beautiful, man.
Yeah. And then the third round, the fact that after all the punishment that Seung Choi took throughout the fight, I mean, he got dropped, I think, 3 times. And then he goes out there and wins the third round. What a fucking savage, man. I mean, and the top game from him looked so good. I wonder if going back, and obviously hindsight's 2020, if he mixed in the grappling more in the first 2 rounds, if that would have changed some things, because then Culibao was thinking about that more because he didn't have to think about that at all. He could just let his hands go.
I'm sure he will, though. I'm sure he'll go through and make some adjustments because we all know there's 4 things to expect from Korean fighters, and one of them is correcting mistakes in their next fight.
Yeah, true. That is true.
Students in the game, you know?
Yeah. But, man, what a fun fight. One judge gave Seung Choi the first round. How about that?
Really?
I don't know how
the same guy that scored 49-46 Shevchenko. Man.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else on this fight?
HLB Comer, devastating night for Will and his boys. I can imagine him sitting at home all sad and listening to BTS. Oh, man.
Facts. Right there.
Hey, man.
Nothing
Asian
but facts.
MMA is fucking awesome. I will stand true to that.
For sure. All right. Let's move on to the next fight, man.
Yeah.
We had Garcia versus...
Hey, I mean,
What? Maheshate, you mean?
Yeah.
I know, right? You see that? That's yeah. I could see it.
Like if you just read it real quick, my mind immediately goes Miesha Tate, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm just dyslexic, I guess. I don't know.
Another pioneer, man.
Yeah.
Another pioneer.
Fighting on the main card on the next.
Not Maheshate, but Miesha Tate.
Yeah.
Dude, wild exchanges in that first round. Holy smokes.
Wild exchanges. Some of the funniest commentary I've ever seen on a knockout. But man, Steve Garcia just needs to chill a little bit, right? I mean, just going in real reckless. I mean, because he's a savage, right? Like he's beats the brakes off people. Maheshate was not having it at all. Excellent footwork, excellent defense.
This was his debut too, I think.
Yeah, UFC debut. Yeah. And they're talking about the commentary was crazy, man, because they're talking about how Steve Garcia, his dad, like probably doesn't want to see him fighting like this because they don't want to see him get cracked and knocked out or anything. And then they're talking about Callum Bisping, how he always talks shit to Bisping.
Oh yeah.
And Bisping saying, I don't know, I might want Callum to get his ass knocked out. It might be good for, and then Steve Garcia gets flatlined right as he finishes the sentence.
Dude,
I mean,
Bisping
that knockout
last night. There was another one where somebody was like, "Oh yeah, jabs don't count as significant strikes."
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean they don't count as significant strikes? It's like, yeah. He goes, let me talk to the person that decided that. Let me jab them, and then they're gonna say that was significant.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, Bisping's funny, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
he was funny.
He was correcting DC the entire night.
Oh yeah,
I think Bisping's used to commentating with like Felder and Fitzgerald, who are much more reserved in their takes. You know, DC is willing to just talk for the sake of talking, and sometimes he says something that you're like, "What?" And then
so
Bisping
funny,
the
man.
whole night was like, "You're wrong. What are you talking about?" So funny.
What did he tell? He told DC at one point. He's like, "I know you don't watch fights, DC,"
or
something like that.
Well, it was hilarious because Shevchenko was talking about she almost threw up the gogoplata, right? It was somewhat close, the closest gogoplata in a long time. Not very close though, because they're incredibly hard to get. Yeah,
Diaz-Gomi,
right? Instantly, most people like Diaz-Gomi. That is a fact in my head that will always live there. And they're talking about the gogoplata, and Bisping's like, the last time I saw one was Nick Diaz versus was it Gono? Akihiro Gono? And DC's like, man, how do you remember this shit? And he's like praising him for his fight memory. And Bisping's like, I actually watched fights, DC, but it's hilarious because it wasn't against Gono. It was against Gomi. So they're oh man. Oh, what a high level commentary moment.
But let's bring it back to Maheshate versus Steve Garcia. We just go off and rant. But the thing is that this fight was really quick, so there wasn't much to talk about with this fight.
Not much to talk about. Steve Garcia just needs to chill a little bit, going in a little too crazy because his skill set is there.
And
I'm
Garcia,
very excited.
You know what? You're gonna get hit by some shots, and sometimes you're gonna get hit by some shots, and it doesn't mean you have to respond every single time if you don't have a calculated response.
Yeah, I mean,
he got hit, and as soon as he gets hit with something, it's just wild, man. Swinging for the fences, you know. It's like, dude, you don't have to do that every single time.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to see Maheshate's next fight because he was very poised. Yeah, Miesha Tate's next fight against Lauren Murphy. That's going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not. But but I'm very excited for his next fight because sometimes that wild man energy that Steve Garcia came in with is enough to overwhelm somebody and they'll fold. But he stayed so poised and just backstep right straight and just let him run right into it and then laid him onto the ground. Great performance.
Great performance. All right. We're also going to cover Brendan Allen versus Jacob Malkoun.
Dude, talk about an exhausting fight. This was exhausting. Crazy grappling exchanges. Terrible terrible commentary on this one too.
Wait, how did you score it? Let me ask you.
I had Allen winning this fight.
Why?
Malkoun didn't do anything with any damage the whole fight. He maybe controlled some positions, but all the damage was on Allen's side, on the feet, in the clinch, and then when he would end up on top, he was at least able to land some shots. He didn't have much top control, I don't think, but I mean, top control for the sake of top control, doesn't do much for me anymore.
I agree with you 100%. I think that fighters have to start realizing more and more, like, hey, there's these wrestlers that are getting top control but are still losing the fight by decision because they're not active enough.
Yeah.
I thought that there was great corner work by Allen's corner after the end of the first round when they said, don't stop moving when he's taking you down because there's no threat of submissions and no threat of ground and pound.
Yep. And they were right.
Yeah. Spot on advice, man.
And not only was it spot on advice, but Allen listened to it and did it. I mean, DC, it's funny that it's Dominic Cruz and Cormier both value top positions so much because when they were as they were rising, that was everything, right? It was always top control. GSP laid the blueprint, right? And all this stuff. And they're wrestlers primarily. And in wrestling, top control is the only thing that matters because that's the only thing involved with wrestling. And let's see. So I think it was maybe a month ago, Dominic Cruz is commentating. I think it's Cruz, Bisping, and Fitzgerald on a card. And Dominic Cruz is like, this guy's winning. He's winning. I don't remember what fight it was. And he was pissed about the decision. And then Fitzgerald was like, I don't know. It's the last thing on the criteria. And Dominic Cruz was like, what are you talking about? Like, he like called him out on it. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, if you're controlling your opponent, like what else is there outside of damage, right? But
damage, yeah.
And Fitzgerald was just like, oh, never mind, I guess. But it's like, he was right. He was right. It is the least valuable criteria. Control is only supposed to be considered if there's nothing else. And there was something else.
So if you maintain top control on me for 3 rounds and you're not doing anything other than maintaining top control, but I'm cracking you with elbows and short shots off my back, then I'm winning that round.
You should win. Will they give it to you? Probably not, but they should.
But they're starting to more and more.
They are starting to more and more. Yeah, 100%.
HOB Comer says fighters take note.
Yeah, HOB Comer says Malkoun too small. I think he needs to drop in weight. I could see that too. If he got down to welterweight, because his pressure is nasty, man. Imagine if he's pressuring people even smaller. But let's mix in some ground and pound.
For sure. Okay. We got a couple more fights to cover, and then we'll move on to the closing segments, I guess you'll call them, right?
Yeah.
Kang versus Danaa.
Man, I am very excited for Kang. This was one of those fights we talked about before where we're like, this is going to be a good one.
This isn't Kang versus Danaa. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Like, man, he looks different. We talked about this one going into it, that this was going to be one of the good ones on the card because Danaa is just a fucking animal and he'll keep coming forward no matter what.
Very creative with strikes.
Yeah, footwork is interesting. Doesn't keep his head on the center line, but man, the discipline.
Never one shot at a time.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Punches and bunches. My favorite.
The discipline. Yeah, the discipline from Kang. Leg kicks, jab, the straight behind it when he needed it, was beautiful, man. Beautiful. Danaa was wearing a mask at the end of the fight because he's just getting lit up with the jab, and just so disciplined. Great fight. The illegal knee was fucking hilarious.
It was.
The ref was like, just like, he got up after getting kneed in the head on the ground. I mean, clearly on the ground, and he's like blinking and he's like looking at the ref like, the fuck was that? And the ref's just like,
keep on going.
Yeah. I get it. We're in Singapore,
I want to see where we go with this. Come on.
Yeah, I get it. We're in Singapore. That's ONE FC's home, but the rules are a little different here in the UFC. That's hilarious,
dude. So I'm a big Danaa fan again because I love fighters that don't just throw one shot at a time, right? But the thing with Kang is that jab was like a piston all night.
Yep,
he was destroying Danaa's leg with the leg kick, but he always set up the leg kick. And it was usually set up by a jab, leg kick, jab, leg kick. And then as he started letting it go a lot more in the third, and he started throwing some combinations with his hands. And we all know that there's 5 things to expect from Korean fighters. Well, and the 5th thing is power, because they crack, man.
They do.
So it was by the end of this podcast, it's going to be 10 things we expect from Korean fighters. But no, dude, I thought it was a very good fight. Beautiful performance from Kang. And just at the end of the fight, I'm just so excited for Danaa still. Because I haven't seen one Danaa fight that isn't exciting.
Yeah, no, he brings it. He'll force you to fight in an exciting way, because if you don't, you're going to get overwhelmed by him. Yeah, always going to be fun.
And
excited for both of the next fights.
We all know there's 6 things to expect from Korean fighters, and that 6 things is exciting fights all the time.
Yeah, and like we're gonna have to make like an MMA junkie meme video, because they always do like top 10 greatest something in MMA, top 10 first times this happened. We just do top 10 things to anticipate for Korean fights.
Oh yeah, 100%, man.
Top 10 things to expect from Korean fighters.
And then we'd be on number 13 for the top 10 list.
Yeah, number one, heartbreak, always.
Oh, dude, don't even get me going. Although Kang did not break anybody's hearts other than Danaa's yesterday.
Correct. And probably some people's parlays.
True. All right. Let's move on to the last fight that we're going to cover today, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, we had Liang Na. You always go, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's one thing to expect. But
one thing
Silvana Gomez Juárez. Yes, it is. But Silvana Gomez Juárez, dude.
Man,
this was one of the best knockouts I've seen in the strawweight division ever.
Yep. Man, and Bruce Bobtrotter says too many chicks fights, bro. I don't know if he has something to confront with himself, because this fight was fucking awesome. But
it was.
Yeah. But her last fight. This one. Maybe you didn't watch it. Probably not. But her last fight against Demopoulos, they both go out there. They're trading a little bit. Hip hop. But dang you, always give him the easy ones. But she cracked Demopoulos with that overhand right, and that's how she got armbarred, right? Because she dropped her hard, came in for the finish, and got armbarred. This time was perfect, because she throws the overhand right, she slips the jab, overhand right comes over the top, cracks her perfectly, drops her, but instead of running in, she hops back, allows Liang Na to get back up. She gets back up and immediately throws the combos that puts her out. I mean, that's what you look for. You look for adjustments. And she learned from her last fight. Just because I drop somebody, don't get careless and run in there and get all crazy. Take a step back. Let them get back up. And then I can just crack them again.
George says classic Big Daddy scene. Thank you, George, for picking up on that reference. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. HW Comer
says you could just see the knockout power coming from her strong chest. 100%.
Classic comment. Yes. That might be my favorite. The favorite comment I've seen since we started.
Dumbbells, butterflies, bench press, you name it, man. You know that
surgery.
Gomez Juárez is on that 100%. But dude,
oh my god.
Yes, I hope that Bruce Bobtrotter, if he didn't watch this fight, goes back and watches this fight, because quite honestly, this is a knock for the strawweight division, not just with women, but in the men's division too. And in the flyweight, I should say.
Flyweight,
and then the bantamweight, where a lot of people are like, well, they don't watch many fights because people love to see knockouts. Watch this fight. And I'm telling you, this is one of the best KOs in just women's mixed martial arts, period.
Yeah. I think anybody who says that about the strawweight division at this point is not watching it. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, you look at the top, it's like, okay, Carla doesn't get knockouts, but Rose knocked out Joanna. She knocked out Zhang Weili with the high kick. She gets knockouts. Zhang Weili murders people.
She just murdered your girl.
Yeah, Jessica Andrade murders people. I mean, body shot knockouts, slam knockouts.
Body slamming Rose Namajunas.
Yeah, I mean, fixed her neck. Did her a good deed. But anybody who says there's no knockout power or there's no knockouts in women's MMA anymore is just not watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, fun fight. Great knockout.
Moment of silence, sir, for UFC 275.
Oh man, it's a sad one too. Let's get it. So real quick, we'll do the performance bonuses. Fight of the night, Glover Teixeira versus Jiri Prochazka got the fight of the night, which they both deserve. And they gave bonuses to everybody who got a finish. Zhang Weili got $50,000. Jake Matthews got $50,000. Jack Della got $50,000. Maheshate got 50 grand. Silvia Gomez Juárez, 50 grand. That's how it should be. If you get a bonus,
yeah.
If you get a finish, you get a bonus.
But also, Culibao versus Choi.
I know. Give them some money.
That one
Great
hurts,
fight.
man.
I
hope Uncle Dana showed up with a little checky check. You know what I mean?
He was too busy partying in Vegas, dude. It was his son's 21st birthday. That's why he wasn't there.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He's too busy.
That's awesome.
But HLB Comer says Dana was super excited. Yeah, we showed the clip when we were talking about the Jiří fight. His reaction to the finish of that fight was fucking hilarious.
I wonder if his son and him just went to go clean house in blackjack.
Yeah, just get banned from a couple casinos.
Yeah. I mean, what better way to spend your 21st, you know?
I know. Yeah, imagine you spend your 21st birthday partying with Dana White in Vegas.
Yeah, cleaning house.
Crazy. Yeah.
All right.
So
moment of silence.
Fights. Yeah, cancel fights. Some bad ones, honestly. So Kang versus Simon Oliveira would have been fucking awesome. Luckily, Culibao stepped in and still delivered a fantastic fight. Kosuke versus Blood Diamond was supposed to be on this. Would have been a fun fight. Much better matchup for Blood Diamond. They did him real dirty with his debut. They're like, "Oh, you're a really good kickboxer. Let's just give you one of the toughest proactive jiu-jitsu guys in the UFC." And then Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori was supposed to be on this card, but Whittaker had to pull out with an injury. I think they're trying to reschedule that fight. That sucks because that fight would have been fucking awesome. I cannot wait for that fight. But the big one for me is Bontorin versus Manel Cap. I think Bontorin made weight, but then he had to go to the hospital after. So this got canceled the night before the fight. Manel Cap just cannot catch a break. His UFC career so far has been a roller coaster.
It's that Will curse, you know?
Yeah, but the last time I cursed somebody with that was Cyril Gane, and look how he's doing.
Yeah, true. Hey, also Jiří. He didn't really get cursed, though.
No, he came in and just ran through everybody.
He was cursed with rugged good looks and fantastic hair and samurai fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And martial art ethics. Hey, can we get Venom to? I saw someone say that Venom needs to make a samurai fucking outfit.
Oh, that'd be so
for him
sick
to walk out with.
So sick.
That's something that the UFC is missing. Honestly, man, it's one of the greatest things about old school MMA was the crazy walkout shit. It was awesome.
And if you're Jiří, just take the fine. Just take the fine. You're probably gonna get it back anyways from your performance. Dude. Dana will probably pay it. Just come out like a savage samurai. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And then he loses, and then he's like, the samurai outfit was really heavy. My legs were Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh man. All right. Let's see. What do we got next?
Next, I think, is UFC Austin.
Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett. Calvin Kattar.
Fantastic fight.
That Maybe is. We also have Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lozon.
That got rebooked, right? Tim the Dirty Bird Means versus Kevin Holland.
That's going to be a fun one. Joaquin Buckley
versus Duraev. That's a great fight, man. Duraev got finished his last fight, right?
No,
he won. Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis versus Gregory Rodriguez, RoboCop.
Fantastic nickname. Adrian Yanez.
Bro, what the fuck? How are they not hyping this? Kutateladze's back. How did I not know this? Right above Marquez.
Ismagulov
versus Kutateladze. That's a fight, man. Oh my god.
That is. Dude, this is a really good card.
Yeah, Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly. Jeremiah Wells versus Court McGee still doing the damn thing. Eddie Wineland versus Cody Stamann. What are they doing?
Oh, Danny Chavez. Do you remember him?
I do.
Yeah, dude. Cody Stamann
versus Eddie Wineland. Roman Dolidze versus Kyle Dawkins. This is a fantastic card,
dude. This card is
Jerron Wings back.
Look, and I know that we probably go on this podcast all the time. We take a look at next week's card and we're like, "Hey, this is a really good card." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we just love all the cards. But this is a really good fight night.
Yeah, very good fight night. I mean, this is.
I don't think we sound like
very
that,
good. What was that?
I don't think we sound like that though.
No, we don't. But everybody does. Everybody likes to talk shit on the cards, and we do the exact opposite. people going into this one were like, this is the weakest pay-per-view card on paper. And I was like, Jack Della?
Contrarians?
Yeah.
Or does that make us the contrarians? Everybody's talking shit about the cards and we like them. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Hey,
HLB Comer says, Yanez is my boy. We do love all cards, though. It is true. All cards are good cards.
My guy. Hey.
We hit 1,000 subs.
We hit 1,000 subscribers. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We really, really. Whoa, was that a sound effect? We did not expect that. We appreciate all the support. It means the world to us, absolutely. And when I tell you that we have a blast doing this, we have an absolute blast. So we appreciate the HLB Comers of the world, the Georges of the world, the Bruce Bobtrotters of the world. They're showing up week in, week out, showing love, showing some support. Show wouldn't be what it is without y'all. So we really, really appreciate it. And if you don't like watching us, then you can at least listen to us through Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor FM, wherever podcasts are found. You know what I mean. You can find us.
You can find us. And if you want to find us on social media, it's at Story to Fight on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, everywhere. And Rich just said that we do have video on Spotify, which I didn't even know.
What? Oh, snaps. Well, that's awesome. Video on Spotify. Yes. Again, we're trying not to get banned from TikTok because they're like, hey, don't forget, this is your warning. You're about to get banned. And I'm like, here's a 2-on-1 fight with this chubby dude versus 2 tweakers in Russia. And so, like, I'm definitely walking on eggshells and pushing the envelope. Hopefully, we're there a lot.
Yeah. HLB Comer says, like the video. Yeah, definitely like it. That definitely helps.
Like it now.
Oh.
Was that a good Arnold? Was it?
That's pretty good. As someone who has met him,
HLB Comer, I have been working on my impressions just for you.
He's been working on them since 5 minutes before we went live today.
True story. True story. Oh, man. Hey,
what a card, though.
And just so everybody knows, this podcast is produced by Richard Bustos. Rich the Casual.
So
was that better than last week?
Yeah. Richard.
Hey, how about last week? So for anybody that doesn't know, I work with Richard as well. We've known each other for the last 4 years. We've worked very closely. And I forgot his last name. This last episode. So Richard Bustos. This podcast is produced by Richard Bustos, everybody. That's all I got. Will, do you have anything else?
No. Thanks for joining us. That was fun. What a card. Can't wait for next week.
Another week. A story.
Hey, real quick shout out too, even though there's probably nobody watching anymore. But shout out Andrew Toasty. Has a fight next weekend. And
hey, Toasty.
He got an amateur belt over at Bay Area Combat, and he is moving up a weight class to be a double champ. Let's go. Wow. Second title fight. Let's do it.
And to Czech Republic listeners, I just looked this up right now. Bohem Chatele. Goodbye, friends. Thank you for listening. Another week. The Story of the Fighter, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
I'm going to start studying Czech going forward.